Hello again. So welcome to my video. So this will be the third of my moon sign panels, and it will be about Gemini Moon. So here we have again two special astrologers and very special participants, and we will talk about Gemini Moon and everything about Gemini Moon. So welcome everybody. So thank you for being here. Yeah.
Hi, thank you for having
Hi.
us.
Hi. So the astrologers here with me today, Jasmina, and oh, you of course know her, and Lauren, and you also know her from psychology video. So both of them, like we are learning astrology together, and they are my students. So we also have the participants that they will talk about their own reflections of Gemini Moon. Okay, so welcome Jasmina and welcome Lauren. So
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, you
Thanks for
can
having us.
yeah, you can briefly introduce yourselves, and then we will talk about Gemini Moon in discussion. Okay, Jasmina, we can start with you.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Matt, for having me here. I just want to say that Matt is an excellent teacher, a very caring and devoted. And for everyone who wants to take his class, I highly recommend it. I just want to say this because it's really, really important. Uh, um, yes, my name is Jasmina from Jasmina Browser with Astrology. I have been into astrology. It has been my passion since I was 10 or 11. But in the last couple of years, I started practicing professionally, and I really want to help people, guide people to live their lives, fulfilled lives, to make better decisions, to be more aware. And astrology is a great tool to help them live better lives. So that's my goal in this lifetime. For the rest of my life, I want to help them with astrology. Overall, I have been taking my teachers besides Matt was Steve Judd, and I'm also going to law school of astrology. I'm a modern intuitive astrologer, but I do appreciate some traditional techniques that I use in my practice. That would be just short for introduction. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So now, Lauren.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lauren Driscoll. I am the founder of Mastermind Astrology. I've been under Matt's tutelage since, I believe, when did we start that class? Late summer of last year. We're in an asteroid course with him. Astrology has always been my passion. I am a sun and ascendant Scorpio with Venus and Uranus in Scorpio. And then I have this beautiful Gemini moon across my chart. So I like to tell people you'll never meet someone that talks as much as me that's Scorpio, and that's the Gemini influence, right? Like I am your typical Gemini moon. I'm always moving a million miles a minute. I talk very fast. But yeah, I'm here for any questions. Matt's been an excellent mentor. Jasmina, an awesome co-student, and obviously professional astrologers, both of us. So yeah, excited to kind of dive in because I feel like being as Scorpio as I am, there was always that missing piece of me and my heart and why I was hyper and why I'm so excited and why I can be so scattered, right? So those are two very different signs, Scorpio and Gemini. But yeah, happy to engage in any conversations. And Matt, I'll let you take it from here unless I missed anything.
Okay, thank you so much for being here and for your kind words. Okay, so let's dive into Gemini Moon. So first, I will ask one question, and I will you can answer the question one by one in turns. So, what's the first thing that comes to your mind when someone says Gemini Moon? So think for
Talkative.
a few seconds. Yes.
Curiosity for me is number one is curiosity.
Okay.
Because Gemini moves absolutely want to know everything. Doesn't matter if you want to learn something or just gossip or and have interest, curiosity, like what is in that box, or who got the mail, like everything. Like what does this taste like? What does that sound? I think they are curious about everything. So I think that's number one. They really want to get all this information. Why is this like that? What is happening?
Yeah.
Besides,
So
sorry. I just want to mention that beside my moon, I have a Gemini sun and Mercury. And it's sometimes very hard to distinguish what I feel because moon is about feelings and who I am. So in my case, it's both the same.
Yeah, okay. The
That's
first one, curiosity. And Lauren, what's yours?
I said talkative, communicative, quick-witted, fast mind. Sorry, I let other people go.
Yeah,
I was just
so
going to comment with Jasmina's observation with her Gemini Sun and Mercury. That's really interesting because, like, I have Gemini Moon and then I have Chiron in the North Node and Gemini as well. But my Sun is in Leo, and so I don't, and so is my Mercury. So for me, it's more like Gemini is really quick witted, but it's also about me going through the emotions intellectually really fast. Like I can feel one thing 1 minute, and then just like the next minute, totally feeling something different. So that's kind of what I think of as like really going through emotions really quickly when it comes to Gemini.
yeah, exactly. So actually, like you indirectly talked about the mercurial skills. So reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So Gemini Moon is ruled by Mercury. So I believe that those skills are pretty important in their lives. So of course, when we think of Gemini, we always think that like they are talkative and they are like so chatty, but also there can be an observant side of Gemini Moon as well, which enjoys more reading or listening, or some of them, as we know, like might enjoy talking more than them. But yeah, we can also think all mercurial skills together in Gemini Moon. Okay, so if we dive deeper into those mercurial skills, so when you evaluate speaking, listening, writing, and reading, so these are actually the basic skills that we learn in school. So how would you relate Gemini Moon to these skills, Lauren and Jasmina? So Lauren, we can start with you this time.
It's funny because being a Scorpio Gemini, right? Like the curiosity, I would say, comes from both ends of my big three. Scorpios like to get to the bottom. It's funny, like that's so what was the question? How do I with reading and writing?
Yeah. So yeah. Mercurial skills, reading, writing, speaking, listening, and Gemini Moon.
I guess I talk a lot faster than the average person, and that will trigger average people that aren't Gemini, right? So a lot of my friends are Gemini suns. And then when I first started studying astrology, I learned from my friends' charts. And it's no coincidence that most of my friends have Gemini moons, which means we like get each other, right? Like it's like you know exactly how to process, when to talk, when to stop, when to listen. Um, reading has always been a challenge. Like I'm a very smart person, but I didn't do well on my SATs because the way I feel that my brain works is that there's two ends of the spectrum, right? The twins. So it's almost like I need two things going on at once when I'm doing something. My brain is very active, like even doing housework. I can't just do the dishes. There has to be something on or on the phone. Writing, journaling, I'm excellent at. Like I can sit down and just like automatic journal, automatic write, or, write with intention. So writing's never been a problem. Speaking's never been a problem. With my corporate job that I had to learn how to listen. I would think before I went into corporate America, and obviously now I'm a full-time astrologer, but before I went into corporate America, probably listening was a problem. But when dealing with clients, I would always have to ask questions about their business in order to get the sale. And I'd have to get inside their psyche to understand what made them tick. Why do they want to buy what I'm selling? All of that. So I became a better listener through practice. But talking has never been a problem.
Yeah.
So reading, writing, communication, I think I covered. Did I miss anything?
No, that perfect. So you covered everything. And what about you, Jasmina?
For me, talking is absolutely number one thing, just because I need to express how I feel and what my emotional needs, when I'm angry, when I'm sad, when I'm happy. If I don't say it to somebody, like it didn't happen. Like I have to, to fulfill my emotional needs, I really need to express myself verbally. Number one. Writing, journaling, I did had, as I was younger, I did gave me some comfort to journal, just, to put my thoughts on a piece of paper. Even today, I like to just, I call them like a brain dumps. I literally to feel better, I just put everything on paper, and then I feel, all my ideas, because the brain is non-stop working. You have so many ideas in your head, and you feel like very scattered, as Lauren mentioned. So I really like to put them on a piece of paper. What I also noticed, because Moon is, the way we feel comforted and, nurtured, and how we nurture ourselves. And very often, I really do enjoy reading a book by myself, or just, learning something new, learning a language like Duolingo or something, having these apps that you can learn something, or solving puzzles like Sudoku or crossword puzzles. That really soothes my nerves. And this really helps my Gemini Moon. If I'm by myself, if I have somebody with me that can help me, then I like playing cards or social board games, or something that, something that I can use my mind, like Monopoly, something you have to think, but also having somebody. But that really calms me down. So that's, in a moon sense, I like those things.
Yeah, perfect. So these all stimulate the mind. So and Lauren also told us that like she needs something in the background when she's like doing housework. So there should be kind of mental stimulation. And then the next topic is pretty connected. So when we talk about all these mental stimulation, so I often hear that I often hear some Gemini moons complaining about ADHD, having ADHD. So how would you like connect this situation with Gemini Moon? Of course, we are not here to diagnose, so this doesn't mean that if you have Gemini Moon, you have ADHD. But all these like openness to stimulation, curiosity, like the energy, like might feel like that as well. Okay, Lauren, would you like to talk about it?
Yeah. So obviously I'm not going to say how old I am, but I got diagnosed during the pandemic. So 4 years ago, almost June 23rd, 2020. So I had gone through most of my life being an excellent student, getting great grades, but where I struggled was like the standardized testing, because, read an essay and then answer questions about it. Like when I was reading, I knew that my brain was going elsewhere. But professionally, it never really affected me, because being a corporate saleswoman for, a lot of years, decades, I was always stimulated. My job was to talk to people and ask questions. My job was to talk and obviously sell, but like I just enjoyed doing the job of talking and listening and engaging. So naturally the sales came easy to me. But yeah, no, the ADHD diagnosis kind of made it all make sense. And I'm not going to say one way or another, how would I be different if I didn't have it? It did help me though, because it made me realize that there was nothing wrong with me. And not that I ever really thought it, but back in my day, they didn't treat these types of things. I just had to go through life without a diagnosis, without medication. And I went on the medication 4 years ago. But yeah, it was necessary, because what had happened was during the pandemic, I was used to being in an office. At that time, I worked in big tech, surrounded by people, right? Like I was on one floor of 80 men. I was one of 3 women. So I had constant stimulation, people walking by my desk. And then all of a sudden a pandemic happens and I'm expected to do my job from, I'm holding my laptop, this little piece of, hardware, in a house. Now I have 2 cats. At the beginning of the pandemic, there was only one. But it was really hard for me to focus on one thing if I saw laundry not folded there or dishes there. So that's when my therapist kind of, enlisted me to go to the psychiatrist, and she had me answer a bunch of questions. And the questionnaire was, answer as if you're 11 or younger. And I was like, how the heck am I going to remember what it's like to be 11? Like, can't remember what I ate yesterday. I probably could, but so I answered, and luckily I had an older sister that would be like, we would take you shopping and you would be a disaster. You would be running around the store, right? Like just, it's uncontained energy. So I'm not going to say that anyone with Gemini placements has ADHD, right? I'm not in the position to say that. I think anyone that has Gemini placements, Moon, obviously we're here to talk about that. Even Sun, they have very active brains, right? Like they're smart. They can take in a lot at once. They can focus on that's actually a genius. When you can focus on multiple things at once, other people might perceive that as less than, because they're like, Lauren, you're not paying attention. But I'm like, I am. I can just multitask better than the average person. So there is a correlation. I'm not a doctor, I'm an astrologer, right? But that's my experience.
Yeah, perfect. So you really explained the connection, and this doesn't mean that all Gemini Moon or Gemini placements have ADHD. So we are not here to generalize or diagnose, but yeah, there is the connection between the stimulation and the kind of ADHD here.
Quickness, mental
Yeah.
quickness is
Yeah,
how
quick.
that doesn't mean you're ADHD, it's just a quickness. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And Jasmina, what do you think about it?
Yes, I can really understand what you're saying. I was never diagnosed with it. I don't know if I have it. I don't know. My Virgo rising is a little bit of very, maybe it helps me, or maybe because I have Mercury and Moon together, it's different. I just feel that because this is this curiosity. It just, I always feel that, to get a focus from a Gemini or a Gemini Moon, especially a person, it needs to be really, really interesting. It needs to be done in a way that the Gemini Moon can really focus and pay. If it's a boring lecture, of course you were not good at school. Like, what is it if the professor speaks like monotone voice or something? Like, of course you're distracted. Like, it's like, so something like that. So I do feel that Gemini Moons, that Gemini is like their freedom, right? So Gemini Moons also like their freedom. Be free to learn the way they want, when they want, how they want to get the best results. And sometimes in the world that we live in, with the school systems and the workplace, we are just okay.
Your microphone is off, Jasmina. Yeah.
Is it off? Do you
Yeah.
hear me? Sorry.
Now,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. So because the world is set up in a way that you have to, sit in a classroom or in an office and be productive 8 hours a day, it's not normal. Like, it's not normal for anybody, especially for Gemini. So finding the best way, the way that it works for them, how to learn and how to be effective, that's very important. Okay, so I think that's maybe the correlation, because nobody pays attention when they're your kids, and help, give them the freedom to learn how they need and the time they need to get the best results.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that I don't think the Gemini moons are really set up for this. It's more of a Earth Saturnian kind of a school system or workplaces today. Gemini's moon don't fit in that sense, really.
Yeah, definitely. So Gemini Moon, like also Gemini Mercury, Gemini Sun, so that they can be more like focused on adaptability. So like the integration of different systems or teaching methods or classroom management or classroom design, like this type of things. So as you said, that classical Saturnian educational system, like it might feel kind of stuck in it. Okay, so we talked about mercurial skills, ADHD, and I also have a topic that is connected. So when we argue, this is also communication, and like Gemini Moon is kind of notorious that you cannot really stop them during an argument. So how would you relate the verbal skill of Gemini when it comes to arguments, for example?
Very eloquent, number one, because they read a lot, they learn a lot, so they have very good vocabulary. Okay, and in many times in different languages. So they usually speak more than one language usually, and then if you come in an argument with them, they can because they're also witty, they can give a quick answer back. You don't even think about it. They can really give you a really response that you're kind of shocked and then what's happening in the argument, right? So they have these quick responses in a very eloquent way. As I said, they have usually very large vocabulary, and they can if they're mad at you, they can start swearing in different languages. I do that a lot. I think I know how to swear in 10 different languages. Anyway, it's just silly, but it can also be silly, but I'm just saying they are really they're like quick responders to in an argument, right? They can plus I think they have a very good memory. I feel Gemini moons, and they can remember stuff, and then they can just say, oh no, anyway. That's from my experience. I maybe because maybe my Moon and Mercury are together, but I remember everything. And I can tell you just, this is what happened then here, not in a bad way, but I just know. And you can't tell me it wasn't like that. I know it was. I just, so I use that in an argument as well.
Yeah, that's yeah, that's so fun. And how about you, Lauren?
Well, I don't speak multiple languages other than what I took in high school, which was Spanish, and I was pretty good at it. But it's funny, she brought up arguments. I'm laughing here because it's like when someone confronts me, I probably go into more of my Scorpio mode, which is don't argue with a Scorpio, right? Like, but very like fast-witted, very good vocabulary. There was something else she said that is escaping me. But yeah, no, oh, we remember everything. Like I could be like, remember that time in 1997 when you said this to me, which is crazy, right? So what was the original question? I just want to make sure I circle back because I'm trying to like kind of piggyback on
Yeah,
Jeff.
like how do you relate arguments or winning over an
Oh,
argument with Gemini Moon?
yeah, that is hard for me just because I'm so Scorpio that I feel like when there is a disagreement, I might go into more of my Scorpio mode.
Okay. No, that sounds spooky. Okay.
Usually, I just want to add. Usually, Gemini moons they don't really like to. I mean, I don't like to argue in a sense. I try to see your point of view, and then sometimes if it's like more of a debate. Okay, so it's more of a debate or exchange of opinions. Then I wouldn't see it as an argument. I don't particularly think Gemini moons want to argue or get into arguments until it's really really bad. They like the conversation and that they're debating about, and they have ability to objectively see the other point of view. So per se, for me to get into an argument, it has to be something really deep, personal, and in everyday life, I wouldn't argue with a person in a store, or if somebody honks me with a car. I don't care. I just don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think the Gemini moons are really, prone
The
to arguments
mutability
per se.
helps, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
being
yeah.
able, and like I've used that in my career, right? Like think about I was an executive saleswoman. I'd sit down with a top, CEO, CTO, whomever. I would mirror them. So the mutability helped me in my career where it was like someone was stoic and then I would sell to someone that might have been a little bit more lively and I could be more myself. So the mutability helped me kind of engage with people of all levels of different like hierarchies within corporate. So yeah, I don't think Geminis go looking for an argument, but they definitely can articulate themselves on the other side of an argument.
Yeah, I second that.
Yeah, exactly. So I also don't think that like they will be out there to start arguments, but when it comes to, so they will be pretty eloquent and articulate in an argument. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so the next topic is Gemini Moon's evil twin, the mood swings. So the emotional nature and side of Gemini Moon. So when you think about this, so what would you say? How would you reflect in this topic?
Jasmina might be better for this, so I'll start because she can like come in on the back end and kind of finish my thought. But like I can lay in bed at night and think about something and there's this, and then all of a sudden there's this other little viewpoint that creeps in. And I remember like, a lot of my good friends are Gemini suns or moons, but I'd text them and be like, holy crap, I'm starting to really understand what this piece of myself is that I can see both sides. And then I start to like argue even with myself. But I think for me, that's mental, right? Like Gemini is an air sign. If you go to your gut, you'll get the answer. And I think that's how I get through those tough moments where I'm literally arguing both sides of an issue with myself in my head. Jasmina, how do you feel about that?
So the question was, Matt, you were asking, because now I'm
Yeah,
also thinking about
yeah, mood
something else.
swings. Yeah, it's about mood
Mood
He
swings,
said
swings.
yeah.
evil twin.
Yeah, yeah, devil twin. So I will tell you this. I can change my mind so many times in a day about stuff that I don't even care about it. It drives my husband nuts. because I say, oh, I'm going to cook this. And then I change my mind 3 times and then I cook something different and said, what is this? You said that, like for me, I just changed my mind. And he goes crazy. Like, don't do this to me, don't tell me anything, because I can, I go start doing this. And I said, you know what? No, I'm going to start doing this. And I do half of this. This is the mood swing. So in that sense, I can change my mind doing many things, just stop this, doing something else. That's also probably we don't finish many things, because this is, one of the things that we do. Or changing my mind is not a problem for me at all. This adaptability is really strong. I do have sun and moon together with Mercury. So maybe that's the reason. But overall, for me, I don't have to stick to something. Because I really feel maybe I'll learn something, or something from my memory comes, or something comes to my mind, and then I just change it. That's it for me. So, but it drives other people crazy, and I noticed, and when you need to stick with something and you don't wanna, it kind of, it's frustrating. Then you kind of get a little bit of, like anxious in a way like that. So the freedom to change their mind is very, very important.
Yeah,
I feel.
exactly. Then how do you come up with the final decision, like when you have to? What helps you?
I usually okay. So sometimes if it's very, very important, I give myself time. I don't make a decision. Like if I have time to make a proper decision, I give myself time to sleep over it, and or find a way to calm my nerves, to get in within my intuition, and to get like intuitively, and then I do it. If it's something that's I feel like it's not important, at least for me, or it's something quick, like am I gonna have a pistachio cake or almond? Just it's in a moment thing. I make a decision in that moment. That's it. Just like literally a second before I need to consume it or I need to decide. That's how I do it. Just by what I want at that specific moment. That's it.
Yeah. So that's it. Living at the moment. All
Living
right.
in the moment, literally.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
I know it
So
drives other people crazy, though, Matt. It drives other people crazy, though, but not everybody can do it, because especially if you have a fixed sign with you, or somebody who is an earth sign, don't do this to me. Like don't do. So I understand that, and I have, like, knowing astrology and practicing astrology, I have better understanding to be more mindful when I need to make a decision that implicates other people. Like, what are we going to have for lunch? So if it's just for me, then I don't care. But if it implicates other people, then I'm trying to be more mindful. Okay, that's the best I can do.
I'm just gonna pop in. I recently went to an astrology conference and I roomed with 2 people that I knew, but I'd never met in person. So obviously my Gemini comes out when sharing a room with me. I'm like, I'm gonna wash my hands. No, I'm gonna shower. No, I'm gonna do my hair. Wait, let me unpack this. Right? Like, that's how I am. And even with my cats, like sometimes I'll say, do you want to EAT? And they're like, whoop. And then I see a mess in the corner and I start dealing with that. So to plug on to Jasmina, yeah, it drives humans, animals crazy. I feel bad for my cats sometimes, because it's like I said, do you want to eat? And like 15 minutes later, I'm doing something else. So I don't know if anyone else feels like that or has that experience, or am I just a bad cat mom?
No. I think you're a great cat mom, but still, like I am the other side of your discussion. Like I have fixed signs, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus in my chart. So that sometimes drives me crazy when Gemini Moon acts that way. Yeah, perfect.
Like for example, so many people couldn't make it tonight, but last minute was literally
Yeah,
in the moment. I didn't tell you the day
yeah.
before. I'm just saying, it's just one of those things. When astrology, it's just easier to accept those, although they drive you crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's quite funny. All right. So the next topic will be, so Gemini Moon is ruled by Mercury, as we talked, and Mercury also rules siblings and cousins. So what's Gemini Moon's connection with siblings or cousins in your opinion?
All right, I'll go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm not ruled by Mercury, right? But my moon, and I have a very strong Mercury. Mercury's in detriment in Sag, but I'm very eloquent. I think the Gemini across from Sag, right on that axis, helps me. I think because I'm a strong individual that's very well spoken, and my sister is definitely more introspective, quiet, only responds, is not really that much of a leader. Obviously, she has a totally different chart, right? But I love my cousins. Like the problem is there's so many of them, and I'm the baby out of like 20 on my dad's side and 10 on my mom's side. So there's a significant age difference there. But I think Gemini and Mercury, right? You can use them interchangeably. The role is to be the messenger. So like Geminis might be the one in the family. I know we have people here, and admit it, right? That find out a family thing, call everyone, right? They're the one that like spread the word throughout whatever core groups, the friend group, the sibling group, the cousin group, neighbors, even. Our job or role as a Gemini is to be the messenger. And I think a lot of us do that really well. Jasmine, I'll punt to you.
Yeah, yeah. So my brother also has Gemini Moon and a Gemini Mercury. So we are both like, so our relationship is more of a friendship, not as a sibling. So, and we have like this feeling that, we just continue where we left off without any deep, like not in a scorpionic way, not at all. We have a deep relationship. We have this, we are good with each other, but it's just superficial. But it's like it's a friend. So we're like literally friends. We just pick up what's up, like without any bad feelings, these feelings right there, right? With my other cousins, I don't know many of them, but regarding family affairs, I'm usually the one, to be interested in it and to kind of, call my aunt to say this. So, I was the messenger in, and I like to be kind of a connector. I like to connect, neighbors, friends, this group, that group. Oh, somebody, yes, yeah, I can, I can referral this, that person. And if you have service or something, I'm the one who, so. But with siblings and cousins, I don't know. I didn't have many close relationships. They're more like literally like in a true Gemini fashion, more of an acquaintances for me, for example, in my life. But the importance of having somebody to talk to, it's easier for Gemini Moon to have a sibling when they grow up, for sure. It's just to have somebody they can, shoot off ideas every day. I agree with. I think it is important.
Yeah, definitely. So that communication exchange, spreading the information, and always finding someone to talk to as a sibling or as a cousin. So I think that will be quite helpful for Gemini Moon to fulfill their emotional needs of communication in a way. So you are right on that. Okay. So the final topic will be Moon also representing the motherhood or parenthood. So how would you evaluate parenthood, motherhood within Gemini Moon here?
I'll go first on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously being a Scorpio sun rising and then moon in Gemini puts my moon in the 8th house. So I remember the first time I got my full chart read. Now I'm a professional astrologer, right? Like he was like, there's a distance with you and your mom. That distance is she did pass away, right? So moon can symbolize mother, moon in 8th symbolizes, and obviously think about Scorpio and Gemini. I don't know how many people here really know astrology, but those are quincunx. My sun and my moon are in quincunx with each other. So they're not at a direct opposition. It's a 150 degrees. So a lot of people, when they look at my chart, they can't figure out if I'm extrovert, which is Gemini, or introvert, which is Scorpio. So the relationship with my mom was very, very close, and I lost her younger than I should have, right? I've lived without my mom for 15 years. So a lot of people I know with moons in the 8th sometimes have difficult relationships with their mom. But that's how it manifested in my life. And I know a lot of people probably have different stories, but just my example.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. So you were close. So this doesn't mean that like you have moon in the 8th. This doesn't mean that like you have horrible relationship with the mother. So you are pretty close, moon in the 8th. So everything again.
Grandmother and mom were my 2 favorite people in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Lauren. And how about you, Jasmina? And we know that you are also a mother. So how would you evaluate your mother and your child, for example?
Yes. So I lost my mom when I was 23, so also pretty young. But my mom, she was a very friendly person. She has so many friends. So like a Gemini person, Gemini Moon, seeing my mom, having all these friends. It's just, I understood that she showed me like how friendships are important and what does a friend mean. So she was a friend to me in that sense. So I had a really, really good relationship with her. She was very smart as well. She was very popular. Like, I don't know. I have, when I think of my mom, I don't know, she was really my friend. So I don't know. That's the way I understand it. I don't know her really because I lost her so very young, in an adult age. After I didn't have an opportunity to know her as an adult, but during my growing up, she was supportive of everything. Whatever I wanted to pursue, my curiosities. If I want to study this, she supported my friendships. My everything. She was there for me all the time. So I really felt that she was my friend. uh yeah, so I don't know if this tells what kind of mother I am, because I have a kid. I do enjoy doing things with my kid that are very Gemini like I read books, I solve puzzles with him, stuff like that. I really, teaching him how to write. That's even math, even a little bit of Virgo rising, so a little bit of math as well. I really like to do, number letters with him. So yeah, I really like a mother. I want him also to have a friend within me. So anyway,
Yeah,
that would be
that's
my
perfect.
story.
And like I also know that you are pretty busy in your daily life, but you still are quite careful with your son's school education, taking him to like activities and so on. So that's also, I think, kind of Gemini moon
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, I want him to socialize. So he goes like
Yeah.
four extra activities. I want him, have friends from here, have friends over, play dates, I just anyway. So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, final topic. So people also want us to talk about it. So, Moon also represent intimate relationships, like how we kind of connect in intimate relationships. And how would you talk about Gemini Moon when it comes to intimate relationships, sexuality, sexual connections, or like private connections in a way?
I will just say one word and then intellect is new sexy. That's what it is.
Yes.
Intelligence is new sexy. That's absolutely number one. If I can't talk to a person, if we don't connect on mental level, forget it. It can be chemistry, it can be whatever, you can have money, it can be the most beautiful guy in the world. After 3 days, it's gone. Yeah, constant stimulation, constantly doing something, having these conversations, exploring the world together. Very, very important. I'm gonna say that's it. That's very
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
how I see it.
I've noticed that as I've gotten older, right? I think like maybe I was more in my Scorpio when I was younger and I would just date. But like there was an astrologer that said to me, no one's getting you into bed unless they can carry on a conversation and play that like ping pong back and forth. Like there has to be some sort of, and I realized that as I've grown, right? Maybe back in my day when I was young, I didn't care about that. But absolutely. There has to be some sort of mental connection because my mind is moving fast and they're going to have to be able to put up with my multitasking, right?
Exactly. Get you focused at the moment. Exactly. Yeah, that's a cool point. Intelligent isn't it sexy? Exactly.
I just have to say that my husband is a Gemini, so that's it. I rest my case. Just-
Wait, he's a Gemini sun?
yes.
So your kids have a lot of Gemini in their chart, I'm guessing, pulling from
And
both
my
parents.
kid is also Gemini, and my kid is also Gemini sun. So we have three Gemini sons living under the same roof.
Who talks the most in that household?
Me, still me, still. Because I'm the only one with the Gemini moon, so that's why I'm the winner.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So any final topics for Gemini Moon that you have on mind? If not, we will invite the participants. So any final thoughts? Yeah. Okay, so thank you. Like I think we summarized pretty much everything. So now the participants can appear and pop up. So we will have their time. So you can reflect on your own stories, and if you have some notes to share, you can also share. Okay, so yeah, Dana, welcome.
Hello.
Hello. And Eloise, welcome. And yeah, so Dana, we can start with you. So how would you reflect this session and the things that we talked about?
Oh my God, so many things, so many topics. It was just like ticking boxes in almost every arena, especially in everything that has to do with work, work related and mental activity. Like in my case, I'm Gemini, I have a rising and sun as well. So it's just all Gemini. And I remember when I was like 8 years old, I just completely stopped sleeping. And the only thing that was able to put me to sleep was reading and reading and reading and reading and reading, which basically led me to have a career in writing and then in teaching, in radio. And so many things that have to do with communications and things of the sort, but also emotionally having to mentalize things. But I think that one of the things that I liked the most, and I think it was Lauren that said it. I hadn't been able to actually pinpoint it or express it in this way, and I really liked it, of how when you're having a problem, you can sometimes, like magic, sometimes like see it from two positions, and that changes everything. And having this sort of like double perspective, I really liked how you expressed it and connected with that a lot. So um I don't know, there's so many things. I don't want to take up too much time from other people. It's the first time that I participate in one of these, so I don't want to go on, nervous talking, taking up all
Thank you.
the space.
I
Yeah,
have a
well,
question, sorry, Dana. Do you know if you have your moon in the first house or 12th house by
12.
any chance?
12.
So yeah, so that's a little bit, that's why maybe you need more reading and time to yourself and stuff like that, because it's 12 house moon, so you need time to by yourself to recharge. It will be a little bit different. Okay,
I
so that's
guess,
good for
yeah.
you. Yeah. Those readings and spending some time with yourself and your mind, I think it's going to help you a lot to come.
yeah, exactly. Thank you, Dana. Of course, we will come back to you. Like if you want to say something, you can raise your hand during
Thank you.
the intersections. Okay, so now Eloise or Mark. So Eloise,
I
yeah.
guess I can go. So found the session really great. I love how Gemini Moons were just sort of like, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Da, 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 da. One of the things I found interesting was talking about family and kind of how Gemini relates to siblings and cousins, because my brother is a Gemini sun in the 12th house with a Gemini rising. So back Dana brought up her chart with the sun and stuff. He's a Virgo moon too, so that's a little bit different, but it's also that mercurial energy, just a different kind of flavor of it. But with my family, my mom is actually Gemini moon as well, and her moon is in the 5th house. My moon is in the 9th house. I'm a Leo sun. She's a Sagittarius sun. And Gemini in my chart in Placidus is actually intersected along with Sagittarius, whereas her Leo and Aquarius houses or signs are intersected. So it's kind of like this balance. I think we sort of like, I mean, personally, I sort of believe that like before we incarnated, we were like, okay, I kind of want to learn about this. I kind of want to learn about this. You're going to have this energy. You're going to have this energy. We're going to bring us together and we're going to figure this out. And then I also was looking too when my dad's got Gemini and Sagittarius intersected. So there's a lot of like Gemini energy, but kind of in a different way for me. And I know with interceptions, it can be sort of hard to understand that sign. You might not always get it. So that's why I like to do these sessions, because even though I'm a 0-degree Gemini moon, I'm like, do I really get what this means? And I'm thinking I do, which is good.
Yeah. So yeah, so in your family there are also Gemini placements, Sagittarius placements. So I think that helps to balance, I believe. So as Lauren and Dana remarked, so thinking in two different ways. So seeing the two sides of it, so that might be helpful for having more perspective. Okay, thank you, Elise. And Mike, hello.
Hello, hi everybody. I love being a Gemini moon. it's like some people might say it's a challenging moon placement, but I think it's this beautiful and just the ability to unlock and uncover so much within like talking, connecting, like opportunity. But a couple of things from just the talk on around Robin was just growing up with siblings. I think the Gemini Moon has such a unique experience. I had an older sibling, so I feel like I had a sibling rivalry in terms of intelligence with my older siblings, trying to keep up with like what they were learning, what they were talking about, like just trying to be involved with that. And just like the being a Gemini Moon and the childhood at home was just always filled with so many books. Like I remember having dictionaries or encyclopedias or just books that I would just go through just to be able to get as much as I can to as much knowledge and information. And with the moon placement, the Gemini moon is 12 houses away from a Cancer placement. So within that aspect, I think the Gemini moon is also a very spiritual moon. There's a lot of enlightenment that goes on throughout the Gemini moon's life, I believe. And so with that aspect, I think that the Gemini moon definitely should turn to some type of spiritual aspect or spiritual practice within their life. Especially with like their breath or their breath work. So finding time to move your breath like the tide and like having slower inhalations and exhalations, just to be able to allow that magic of your mind to kind of unfold is really good. So finding that imaginative space within your reading, meditating, doing yoga, or having walking, doing casual sunset, sunrise walks are always important. And if there's one sign that I think would benefit the most from talk therapy, it would definitely be a Gemini. So I definitely think that having your ability to talk and speak out loud is very beneficial for Gemini. So amazing placement, and I absolutely love it. So thank you all.
Yeah, perfect, Mark. And for those who don't know, Mark is also my student, but he's not ready to come out as a professional astrologer yet. So, but he's amazing because, like, I read his chart three years ago, and like he has Gemini Moon and some other placements in the 12th house. And when I first saw his chart, I said, "Wow, this boy knows something. This boy can read." So, Gemini Moon in the 12th. So that is also pretty like in tune with the intuition, reading, like breath work, meditation. So there will be lots of connection to the spiritual space in that way. So yeah, definitely, I'm totally agree with you. Okay, thank you, Mark. And Michelle, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Gemini Moon here is actually my chart ruler. Um, I do notice distractions very easily. I like to multitask a lot, as through this video conference, I was doing different things. I am a dental hygienist. I use my hands a lot for work. And from the work I do, I actually learned a lot more and have other interests and pursued other degrees. I am a dietitian as well. And I notice I use both my hands very frequently with both of my jobs, with the computer work and such. Yeah, I really like how you brought up breath work, Mark. I am interested in learning more about that and kind of pursuing orofacial myofunctional therapy, maybe with it, where it does have a lot to do with breathing. I do like yoga. I feel like that helps with overall health and settles the mind. My brother's name is also Mark, and he is a Gemini sun with Cancer rising. Yeah, growing up, we were kind of close. We'd explore things together, pretty curious outside with the flowers and moths and roly-polies and such. Cousins is a big topic in my family. My mother, very close with her siblings. I don't know her birth time exactly, but from the time my grandma had mentioned, I kind of estimated it, and I feel like she is a Gemini rising. Not sure on that. Her relationship with her siblings, they're so close. Nothing can really get in between them. Big family, a lot of cousins, all different ages. I did watch over them a lot growing up. up and we have special bonds. And yeah, that's about
Yeah,
me.
exactly. Like you covered the things that we discussed. Thank you, Michelle. And Julia, hello, welcome.
Hi, I'm sorry it's late. Yeah, I would say I agree with all topics. I'm Gemini Moon and Stellium Aquarius, many Aquarius placements, and I would say curiosity, and I want to know as much information as you can give me in general, as speaking many languages and thinking in many languages also helps, like makes sense to us, I would say. Sibling relationship. I have a sister, older sister too, and this need to share perspectives and to have her as an example, like all my life, I would say, it's very important. And I agree with Mark when he said do as much yoga and meditation and breath work as well. I feel like it helps a lot too. And well, yeah, also I relate to the spiritual side, like in this topic, like you can also explore other areas, not only books, like you can imagine and dream and make connections with also like international connections, help you have other perspectives you can share with your in group, with your community, also like neighborhood. Like I've been traveling a lot, but then sharing other cultures in my family or like in my place in Italy here.
Yeah, exactly that. Neighbors, you also like remark on that well. So international neighborhoods, like exchange of information, and yeah, that's also a point. Thank you, Julia.
Evil twin topic.
Yeah.
I think it comes out when there's a like mental restrictions or when you're like really provocative, like forcing me, making pressure to give you my opinion on a topic, or like asking me something but in a really provocative way. I refer to like Sagittarius, Leo, Scorpio placements with my Aquarius, Gemini side. Is like I guess that's really provocative when you say it, and it makes me like really crazy. Like my mind is like, no, wait just a second. And the evil twin reaction is like anger for me as an emotion, like no hate or something. It's like anger and the feeling of leaving the place temporarily.
Yeah, and then coming back. Okay, so I think Jasmine, I will comment on this.
Yes, this was excellent. Just reminded me that I really get mad when I forced to take sides. I don't like to take sides. Why do I need to take, I'm saying, like, if I can agree with this person or with this person, why do I have to, people make me take side? You're with me or you're against me. I don't like that, if in some kind of arguments. I don't know if that's related with the moon or with something else, but I feel it is with a Gemini moon. And also not being heard. When you talk to somebody and they don't listen to you. Oh my God, forget it. That's so hurtful, at least for me. Oh my God, I just tell me you don't have the time. Don't pretend to listen, and you don't. That's very hurtful. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, exactly. And one good point is that Julia made, like when you are forced to make a decision, when you are forced to choose something, so that can be pretty provocative for Gemini moon, maybe. Yeah, that's a good point. All right. So any other participants that would like to talk?
Yeah, I actually, my name is Angie, by the way. But yeah, I just want to refer to what Jasmina, did I say that right? Talked just now about like because you have two sides, you have like the evil twin, right? You can't you are picked to choose a side and you don't like that. And I think that's also the reason why Gemini moons, like once they get mad, they don't stay mad for long. So once they get mad, they just like kind of forget it in a little bit and then they start to focus on other things as per like Gemini moons, right? Yeah, I think like that's why I think I don't get mad at all, because once I look at a situation, I'm able to look at it like in a good in like all the different sides or all the different considerations, and then I'll just go on with my life like that.
Yeah, perfect. So you don't stay mad for too long. You don't stay upset for too long. That's a good side of Gemini Moon too. All right. So any other comments or from participants?
I'll just piggyback on that. Like being a Scorpio as I am, embracing my mutability has helped, right? Because a Scorpio can stay mad and can stay fixated. And there was a situation yesterday, right? Like Sun square Saturn with the friend. And I was able to just kind of like not diffuse, like not go into Scorpio mode, just be mutable, bend with her way. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. So any final thoughts, anybody from the participants? Anything you want to bring up?
I wanted to ask all the participants that I was wondering if anyone on the topic of motherhood and your relationship with your mother, especially for 12 house moons like me, I was wondering if anyone maybe like thought their mother acted a bit childish or childlike. Like although their youthfulness was like a really great blessing in their life because you could relate to them, you could talk with them, they could act as like a friend in the house. But at the same time, when it comes to things you wish you relied on them on, sometimes they acted a little bit childish. And I don't know, for me, sometimes it kind of there was points where it kind of put me off and I was like, oh, I wish my mom could lead me. But then yeah, I still appreciate the childishness. But I was wondering if there was any participants that kind of felt like, oh, sometimes there's a little bit of like childishness.
Yeah, Dana?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I would say it as childishness, but definitely the relationship that I had with my mother was a lot more friendly, and we've always gotten along like super super good friends. And she's a Sagittarius, but you're right. At looking back, at times it was like I needed you to be a mom, not my friend, right? And this problem, like not just yeah, me too, right? Well, if me too, then why didn't you help me get out of that situation? So when you said that, I guess I can relate. But then again, I get along with her so well as a friend that I wouldn't bring it against her, though many times actually, yes, of course I did.
All right. Yeah,
Can I say
Bianca?
something? Oh, yeah. I resonate with that so deeply because there was, I think, the childishness with the mom, I think it's more like the emotional childishness or childishness. And there was one point in my teenage years where we conflicted so much. I'm also Libra sun and she's a Capricorn sun. So there was a lot of misunderstanding in terms of values there. But we couldn't even communicate. And so I started writing letters, like handwritten letters, and like leaving them on her bed. And I think that's so Gemini moon in the 12th house for me. I'm a Cancer rising. So yeah, I think that's what it was. And I always try to understand that Gemini moon part with the motherhood relationship too, because it's quite like perplexing and it's hard to see sometimes. So as a Capricorn, like mom, she was definitely not childish in that sense. But when it came to emotions, she wasn't able to offer that capacity, the depth that a Cancer rising needs. I also have a Scorpio stellium. So there's just a lot of intense emotions that she just was not able to offer. And sometimes I've seen that in Gemini moons, it's the sometimes not the ability to dive deep with you as a child and kind of carry you through or provide that mature, nurturing box or container to express all those emotions. And we can be so quick to talk about them as well. And if the mother isn't there to provide that depth and that space to talk it out, it can really cause a lot of issues. But now as an adult, things are a lot better. But I find I mother her a lot more now in terms of recently we were traveling and I was like carrying all the passports and her bags and trying to find everything. So in that sense, yeah, I resonate with that a lot too.
You're a Cancer rising, so you nurture your mom now.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
It's beautiful though when you think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't have a 12th house moon. Seems like that's a pretty popular placement here in this today. But I do have a 9th house moon. And the part about the emotional maturity is kind of how I feel. Because my mom's also a Gemini moon, as I mentioned earlier. She's a Sagittarius sun and she's a Capricorn rising. And I'm a Leo sun and a Libra rising. So I wanted everything balanced and peaceful. And she was all about kind of practical stuff. So sort of talking about the emotions to just kind of get them out was one thing, but deep conversations about emotions just weren't anything that was ever going to happen in my family. But my parents also had me when they were pretty young too, so I can recognize that they were also emotionally mature because they were only 19 and 22 when they had me. So I mean, as we've gotten older, it's definitely not like an issue like it kind of was before, but it's definitely something that it's kind of interesting to see how it resonates across with Gemini moons, even though we're not all in the same house placement.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe Matt, I just wanted to add, maybe when I'm thinking, maybe lack of guidance, I would say, you know, because she gave me so much freedom. Like I had so much freedom to, you know, and then maybe because of all my Gemini, I was all over the place. Maybe some kind of guidance, maybe, I don't know. Maybe she tried and she couldn't get it from all these Gemini. I don't know. Anyway, so maybe that in my sense that I would think about maybe lacking that.
Yeah, exactly. So many of you mentioned that you have friendly mothers, and at the same time, so many of you have 12th house moon. So 12th house can also be about unavailability. So rather than parental figure that you had as a mom, so maybe you had more like a friend that is your mother. So yeah, that might have caused some feeling of unavailability, or also emotionally unavailability from time to time at 12,000 moons. Exactly. Okay, so amazing topics. So do you want to have, do you have any comments or anything, any questions?
I have two things. One, I'd like to hear from the Venus Geminis a little bit. I don't know. I know we have maybe one or two, just how that shows up for you. Because I'm a Venus Scorpio, so very different Venus. Anyone there have any insight?
Yes, I have a Venus in Gemini. Still getting to know my chart, but I do think I also relate with the emotional immaturity for my mother. I felt like I needed more depth, especially growing up. She didn't really give that to me, but I kind of went within myself, and I think that Venus in Gemini might have helped a bit since it gave me some, I mean, in my mind, optimistic and positivity, or at least something sweet. Um, yeah, I felt like I was definitely more introverted. Um, and yeah, felt like I did have a strict upbringing, so I kind of had to get creative within myself.
Yeah, thank you, Michelle. Okay, so any final thoughts, any final thing to share?
One last thing I think we
Yeah.
missed that's very important for Gemini. It's the trickster. It's the fun
Yes.
sign, the jokester, right? So on that note, both my parents have passed, right? So I tried to pull their charts, and I can do birth time rectifications. It's hard. My dad's passed, but I figured out he's a Gemini rising, obviously Sag moon, is 0 or 1 degree Cancer sun. But I realized like my dad, no one could pull a joke or tell a story like my dad. Like he was the best. So I just want everyone's insight on kind of like the storytelling, the jokester, the trickster. Maybe that's more of a Gemini sun or rising thing. I mean, I know I don't pull jokes, but I'm definitely super fun as the moon. So just want everyone's thoughts on that.
Yeah, anybody? Yeah,
No one likes to play jokks.
I would say that a Gemini, sorry, just one word. Geminis are more like a prankster. I find a Gemini, suns, moons, whatever, they like to do pranks. I don't know. I just find that from my experience.
And they're good at it.
They're good at
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dana?
I mean, I definitely can say that I'm a storyteller because I'm a writer. I don't know if my Mercury and Leo kind of comes into play more with that. But in the vein of storytelling and Gemini Suns, not so much my brother, he's pretty quiet. And I don't know my grandpa's placements, he passed a few years ago, but my grandpa was like the best storyteller. He could tell these long tales and he was so detailed and everything too. So I feel like he must have had some fixed signs in there too, but definitely that Gemini Sun liking to talk, liking to tell a story.
Okay, exactly. And Dana?
I was gonna mention before, I don't know who was saying when we get angry and our mood swings and things like these, and of course when they happen they're absolutely serious. It's not because they change that they're not serious, but at the same time while I'm in raging mode, I can make a joke, and I will make a joke. I don't know how, but I'll make a joke so I'm mad, then laugh. The other person will think it's over. It's not over. I just made a joke. It's a parenthesis, but I'm gonna continue.
I feel this is so much Gemini rising. Like I find that so much Gemini rising. Like seeing, doing those Gemini traits as people see them in everyday action. Yes, I would put it to you. I mean, you're so Gemini, but I find that in the Gemini risings, they can, in an argument, in a death situation, just make a joke and make it lighter, like making the situation lighter.
And for me, humor is super important. For like the comic relief when situations can get really mental and sometimes very heavy. It's very important.
Exactly. Bianca, you were raising your hand.
Yeah, I maybe not so much like when I'm angry, because that's a hard emotion for me, or I keep it very internal. But for like sadness or feeling like overwhelmed, or just like the tears are just coming out. Yeah, I always find a way to be like extra witty or funny, or people are trying to console me, but I'm making them laugh while they're trying to be there for me or something like that. So yeah, I really resonate with that, just kind of coming out of nowhere. Like you don't even think about it, it just happens. But also I think the prankster or like the trickster for me is just like extreme emotional wittiness. Like just always having that comeback. Sometimes it can be a little stingy, but it's because it's genuinely funny. Or there's just a lot of humor or intellectual, like you have to think about it, and if you get it, you get it. Those are kind of how it comes out for me.
Yeah, exactly. So that quick-wittedness in a way. All right. So any more comments? Any final thoughts? Anybody? No. Okay. If not, thank you for being here. Thank you for the session. So let's end the session here. And thank you, Jasmina and Lauren, and thank you all the participants. So your input is pretty valuable. So this is the end of the video. So if you like the series, please like, subscribe, and comment, because there will be more to come. So thank you, everybody. Have a good time, and wherever you are. So take care and goodbye. Welcome.
Thank you for everybody for the input. Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.